We have a quick injury update video for you today, as well as other updates that you need to be aware of heading into week 5 of the NFL season. But before I get into it, if you could take a second, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you don't already, so you know when new videos like this go live. Let's get into it. Let's start off with the player from the Thursday night game. We have wide receiver for the Chicago Bears, Chase Claypool, who has been ruled out for Thursday night's game. And it seems like the Chicago Bears and Chase Claypool's relationship is about to come to an end. Chicago Bears have been trying to trade him after the comments made that he felt that the Chicago Bears were not using him in the right ways. And there was a bunch of issues throughout the offseason as well. But the Bears are trying to trade him. But reports have come out saying that they have not found a trade partner yet. And if they do not find a trade partner, they could just end up releasing him. Indianapolis Colts running back Jonathan Taylor returned to practice this week after being activated off the PUP list. Jonathan Taylor did want to be traded, but returning to practice is a positive sign for the Indianapolis Colts, and he could be available for this Sunday's game against the Tennessee Titans. So you are going to want to monitor his status leading up to the weekend, but the Colts could have back running back Jonathan Taylor. Detroit Lions wide receiver Jameson Williams, who was serving a 6-week suspension for gambling, returned to practice this week after the NFL modified their gambling policy, which allowed him to return from suspension early. This is positive news for the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions head coach Dan Campbell did say that he'll likely play this week, but his snaps will likely be monitored. So I wouldn't play him in fantasy yet, but this is some positive news for the Detroit Lions. Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver Mike Evans is dealing with a hamstring injury, and reports say it is a minor hamstring injury, so there is a chance that he could possibly suit up, but you are going to want to monitor his practice status leading up to the weekend. If he's unable to suit up, Devin Thumpkins and Trey Palmer should see more opportunities. Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins suffered a rib injury on Sunday that knocked him out of Sunday's game. He fractured one of his ribs and is considered day-to-day with the injury. Did not practice on Wednesday, so there is a chance that he does not suit up this week. If he doesn't, Tyler Boyd becomes a viable fantasy option, but there is a chance that he could still push through. I think it's going to be more of a pain tolerance thing, but you are going to want to monitor his practice status leading up to the weekend. Broncos running back Javonte Williams, who left Sunday's game due to a hip injury, did not practice on Wednesday, so you are going to want to monitor his practice status leading up to the weekend. If he's unable to suit up, Samaje Perine should see the bulk of the carries, with Jaleel McLaughlin getting involved as well. Baltimore Ravens wide receiver Rashad Bateman, who missed last week's game due to a hamstring injury, and wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr., who's been sidelined due to an ankle injury, was back at practice on Wednesday, a positive sign for the Baltimore Ravens. You are going to want to monitor their practice status leading up to the weekend, but the Baltimore Ravens could have back their wide receivers this week. Giants running back Saquon Barkley, who's been dealing with the ankle injury, was limited in practice on Wednesday. He was seen participating in team drills, which is a positive sign for the New York Giants, who could really use back their star running back. But you are going to want to monitor his practice status leading up to the weekend. But I do think there's a good chance that Saquon Barkley is back this week. New York Jets head coach Robert Saleh came out and said that running back Breece Hall no longer has a snap count going forward. This is positive news for fantasy owners. I think going forward with no snap count, Breece Hall could be someone that you could start week to week. We know what he's capable of, especially when he sees that workload. And with no snap count, I'm sure he will see that. So some positive news for the New York Jets. Pittsburgh Steelers fans were holding their breath on Sunday when quarterback Kenny Pickett went down with what appeared to be a serious knee injury. Turns out it's not that serious. He's dealing with a knee bone bruise. He was back at practice on Wednesday, a positive sign for his availability. He also told reporters that he will be ready to go for Sunday's game. But tight end Pat Freiermuth, who suffered a hamstring injury on Sunday, is doubtful for Sunday's game and is expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks with the hamstring injury. Detroit Lions wide receiver Amari Brown did not practice on Wednesday due to an abdomen injury, and honestly, I don't think he's at risk of missing this week's game, but it is worth noting, so you are going to want to monitor his practice status leading up to the weekend, but I do think he will be out there on Sunday. And that's going to do it for us today. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you don't already. Until next time, line 'em up.